Alright, how's it going everybody? Wyatt here, Team O'Neill again. Just did a video about rally tires, had a bunch of good questions about rally wheels. What wheels to use when you're rallying, if you're going to go do a rally cross or put your vehicle through some real abuse. Wheels and tires are one of the most critical things you can do. We already talked about tires. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But wheels, we'll talk about wheels today. So what we've got, a standard car wheel, like what might be on your vehicle right now, is a wonderful thing. Typically aluminum, typically plenty strong, plenty good for anything you're going to do on the street. But if you take a wheel like this and you go enter a rally cross or a rally competition or something like that, start driving really fast over rocky roads and that kind of thing, this wheel is going to fail. What's going to happen is you're sliding sideways, you're hitting bumps, you're hitting rocks and that kind of thing. This wheel is going to bend, it's going to crack, it's going to break, it's going to fall apart on you, just because that's not what it was intended to do. And a racing wheel, you know, a normal racing wheel like you might put on your car to go to the track, isn't going to cut it either, just because of the extreme duty that you need to get out of a wheel like this. So a standard wheel, you know, pretty lightweight. This is an aluminum wheel. I'm sure it's a decent enough alloy, and you know, it's kind of built for comfort, not for speed so much. You can see this one was balanced at some point, but really if you grab it here and there and anywhere, you would see that it's really only, you know, not even 1/4 of an inch thick, and that's just not going to do what you want. So something like this will be fine for your daily driver, but yeah, definitely if you're going racing, if you're really abusing your vehicle, you're probably going to have a failure. So where do you go from there? And the answer is, a lot of people tend to go for steel wheels, and this is a steel wheel. A little bit heavier, and it's got, you know, decent enough construction, but what you're going to find with a steel wheel like this, you can see this one is pretty badly bent. If this was mounted on a vehicle, it wouldn't be really driving down the road so well. It would be wobbling around like crazy, because what happened with this wheel is somebody was driving around and hit something probably while they were sideways. You know, you get sideways with a car like this and hit something and it's going to bend that wheel. That said, that's exactly why we use these wheels on a lot of our day one Fiestas. You know, if you come to a rally course here at the school, you might find some of the cars you're in early on are on steel wheels. Why is that? Because if you do bump into something, yes, the wheel will bend, but that absorbs all of the energy of that impact. So you don't damage the car. It's a lot easier to change a wheel than replace some other mechanical components. So, you know, the real rally wheels and some of these strong wheels are wonderful, but just know if you hit something sideways, the wheel's not going to bend. That impact of hitting something is going to get translated to your suspension components, your control arm could bend, tie rod ends, things like that are going to be a lot more vulnerable. So a lot of people rally crossing, entry-level stuff, when you're getting used to it and you're bumping into stuff a lot still with your normal car, it's not a real race car, a steel wheel definitely has its place. These are cheap, they're readily available in all kinds of different sizes, and like I said, you bump into something, you change the wheel, you get back going and the car is fine again. It is kind of a nice thing, but definitely because these bend so easily, it's not really an option for, you know, real racing, high performance applications. If you need to get from A to B as quick as possible on a bumpy road, steel wheel might not be the best way to go, you know, unless you have a spare or two in the trunk, and that kind of thing. So that's those. When you get into buying wheels, you'll see some of these other ones. You know, this is a Sparco wheel. This thing's, you know, on Tire Rack, pretty cheap. These are very affordable wheels, and we've used them here at the rally school. They're okay. You know, you get what you pay for a little bit. The main factor you'll find with a wheel like this, because it's more of a performance wheel, you'll see a lot of times that there's more inner diameter. You'll find a wheel like this, because it's meant for a more high performance application, this dimension is going to be bigger so that it goes over different brakes, and that kind of thing, you've got more of a gap. You don't want a very small gap between your brake caliper and the wheel, because that's where a lot of debris can build up and cause a lot of problems with your brake system. So these are fine. They're good wheels. A few things you'll find with a cheaper wheel like that, or we got a deal a while back on these guys. These are decent. This is a Sport Edition. Very fine wheel, as you can imagine. These things, again, a very affordable wheel. They're fine, they're good. There's nothing wrong with them. For the price, they're definitely a bargain, and they're plenty strong. But one of the things that you're dealing with are the alloys, right? If you were to buy either of these wheels, a big part of it, this wheel design, okay, you could be getting some debris in these spokes. Not such a big deal. It's going to bend the brakes well. It's not such a big deal. The design of the wheel itself is just fine and dandy, but the material, the alloy of aluminum that they use, is a lot softer than what you're going to find in a real rally wheel. Some of these real rally wheels, that's what you're paying for. Is if you could imagine this was melted down into a block of aluminum, it'd be $30, where if that wheel was melted down into a block of aluminum, it'd be $70 or something like that, just because of the inherent properties of it. The other things, heat treating, different factors that they use for the actual materials are going to be a lot better with some of the high performance wheels. You will find, if this isn't an option for some reason, a stock replacement wheel might suit your needs just fine. Here's a couple. This is a Volkswagen or an Audi wheel. It's got moss coming off of it. But basically, this is a factory happy wheel that came on Audi 4000 Quattros. They came on some other vehicles. But really, it's a 16 spoke. It's a very strong aluminum wheel that you can find, in the junkyard. So this is definitely a great option if you're getting into some of the more entry-level kinds of racing. There's another one here. This is a Volkswagen wheel. Either of these have been raced with plenty of good success in the past, and certainly you'd be fine with them. But what you will see is, again, if you are taking some bigger impacts, this one's got a good one on it. Right here where this wheel has bent, you're going to get a lot of that. And that's not something that you can hammer back out and call it good, because aluminum, or any material really, steel, it's kind of like the soda can, beer can thing, right? You take a beer can and go back and forth and bend it a few times, and all of a sudden it becomes a lot more brittle, it becomes weak, and that's when you're going to have a failure. So a big bend like that, sure, somebody hit a rock, no big deal, but that's what you're going to be dealing with a lot more with a standard replacement wheel or something like that, or some of these other lower end or normal kind of racing wheels. What you get into with a real rally wheel, and we've got a few here. This one's from Team Dynamics. Those are fine. This is a Method race wheel, which are excellent. We've had great luck with these. This is a M Sport, Oz Racing, OZ Racing, depends who you talk to, what they want to call it. These are all going to be a much better choice. What are some of the features that you're going to find with these wheels? These are much stronger, much stouter, and one of the really nice things about them that you find on the inside here is that they've got a really nice pronounced lip. Take the Method, for example, where this tire seats on the wheel. So you've got a rally tire that seats right in here and right in here, and they've done the math, and this is the right size for a rally tire, and it's got a nice little lip that's going to hold it there. Also, what you're going to see is this outer diameter of this area to here versus this area to here, this is actually bigger. So you can tell that this is not level with that, hopefully. And there's a very good reason for that, because the tire itself certainly is, even on both of those things. But because this is pronounced, this is a much bigger diameter here, that tire, when you mount it onto this part, it's there. It's being held very securely, which means when you're sliding sideways and bumping into stuff, it's not going to be prone to falling off in the same way that maybe other tires would. Let's see if we can find, you know, this steel wheel is kind of similar. This one is kind of similar. You can see the same sort of thing going on, but it's not nearly as good, where it's got a lip to hold the tire on the wheel, and this dimension is a little more pronounced. So there's some really good features about that. Something else that you're going to find with a real, you know, a rally wheel, or something that's meant to take a lot of abuse. Here's one that's a little cleaner, so it's just easy to show you. Inside, where your lug nuts go, where your wheel studs come through the wheel, you put your lug nuts on. You never want the lug bolts. Those things are kind of garbage and they'll fail after a while. So you want the studs that come out and the lug nuts that go in. You'll see this has steel inserts in there, and they're pretty happy because that takes a lot of the wear and abuse from putting your lug nuts on and off many times. If you do have a wheel come a little bit loose on you and your wheel is wobbling on those lug studs, they're not going to oblong as easy. It's not going to ruin your wheel, and they're interchangeable. We've got one here, again, this method wheel, where that's exactly what's going on. You can see this one's been abused here at the rally school a fair amount, and what we've got are those steel inserts, right? So these steel inserts are what go into here and protect the wheel from all of that damage and everything else. These, I don't know why they're damaged. Maybe somebody used the wrong lug nuts, or maybe they came a little bit loose, or something else happened, or they're just beat to hell and it's time to change them. That's fine. You can change those out and your wheel is still perfectly good. So you'll see that on all of them. Definitely something to look for. These guys have the same thing. This one's a little more abused, but yeah, that's kind of what you're going for with those guys there. So, you know, the weight of these, a real rally racing wheel, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot stronger. You can tell this dimension right here is massive, this dimension right here is massive compared to, you know, one of the other ones that's more of a normal wheel, you know, especially a steel wheel, but, you know, that's a decent contrast. So that's one of the things that's going on with that. It's got a nice big inside surface. We've got wheel scrapers in all of the rally cars that are mounted on, especially in the back, but some also in the front, to keep that clean. You could tell, you could put a very big brake caliper in there and be good to go with that. All of these wheels are hub centric, so when you do order a wheel, make sure you get the right application as far as obviously the lug pattern, but this hub centric area that'll snick right onto your hub and keep it nice and secure, that's very important. You can machine those sometimes if it's not exactly the right fitment for your vehicle. You can always go from smaller to larger, but going from large to small, there's adapters, there's pieces you can put in there, but it's a little more chintzy. So that's definitely something to look out for. And you can see even these wheels, they're going to take a lot of abuse, they're going to hold up a really long time, and they're going to give you a lot better chance of success driving fast on really rough roads. So thanks, that's Rally Wheels. Kind of all I got for you. Hopefully you have some fun out there. Get in touch anytime if you're looking for this stuff. There's a couple of great resources, and yeah, have fun. Come on out to the Team O'Neill Rally School, we'll do some driving, and check in with you next time. I'm Wyatt, Team O'Neill Rally School.